It's a long story. I was trying to help a driver, a working man, so he wouldn't have to eat with his hands.
I never see that guy again.
Miss CBS, big wig.
So we are on Season 2, Episode 10, The Massage, and I'm Susie Essman.
Is it the masseuse or the massage?
The Massage.
Okay, I thought it was the massage.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Jeff Garlin. I'm Baron Von Digression, because I will digress. I'm just prepping you. This episode and all episodes, I digress.
I think any of our listeners know that already.
They do, but Susie is always on point, so have no fear at my digressions because we'll always get back to it. Okay.
So we open the episode
Yes.
with a meeting with Julia and you and Larry and Julia's manager. And Julia doesn't want to do this Evelyn show any longer.
Which you can't blame her.
No, she's had it with
hit
Larry.
the wall. Yeah.
She's had it with Larry. It's a great idea. Of course, it's a great idea, but the problem has been Larry, as it usually is.
Well, it is. But you know what I love about that scene? Everybody in that scene has purpose, which, Jane Carr, who plays the manager, who really lays into Larry, Julia, who's really frustrated, Larry, obviously Larry, but especially myself.
You want to make it happen.
No. Yes, that's my motivation in there. But everything I say is perfect. Not in terms of perfect, look at me, perfect. I'm saying in terms of it helps the scene move along.
Forward.
And Julia really, she gave me a big compliment, especially upcoming in the CBS meeting, how I don't say anything. And the truth is, I love not saying anything in the scene. I really do. And the most frustrating thing for me is when there's really nothing for me to say in a scene, but yet Larry and Jeff Schaefer, later on, they're like, talk about this. And I always feel like I'm shoehorning myself into the scene.
Well, because then it becomes the exposition issues.
Right. Do you notice how many times when you're speaking with Larry, I just sit there and I don't say a word because you two are going at it. And it's like, how am I going to help this? How will I move this forward? I won't. So I love naturally, believe it or not, listeners. Who am I saying listeners?
Our listeners.
Well, no, I don't have to say that. Believe it or not, though, I like being still and quiet in the scene and observing.
And actually what I noticed, I think it was in this episode, or maybe it was in the one before, is that in the earlier days, you were actually quieter.
Well, yeah.
But I think that's how it was written in the earlier days.
No. My natural instinct in doing this work is to not say or do anything. Do action, whatever is required of me, but I sit and wait. And by the way, when I see a moment, I pounce.
I do think you were more laid back in the earlier episodes.
Yeah, because I was in denial about my life. I was eating lots of food. My visits to craft service calm me.
So Larry claims he's a victim of circumstances, and then they decide they can't go to HBO is done, ABC is done, Fox he refuses for political reasons, CBS is left. And Larry and you...
Remember those times where there were 5 choices?
That's right.
And we're obviously not on the show although we did it in the hour, we're not going to say we'll go pitch it to HBO. It's too meta. You know, it's nonsense.
Well, the HBO's already out because of the Alan Wasserman and the shrimp.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
No. It was already out. We didn't even pitch to them, I don't think, in the shrimp episode. It was clearly Larry, since he backed out in the hour.
No, the shrimp episode was after the backing out in the hour.
No, yes, I know. What I'm saying is he saw Larry in different terrible circumstances after. It wasn't
so as the HBO was out for those reasons, not for that. So, but Larry claims one more shot and he'll do all the work in the pitch. Julia doesn't have to do anything and you're backing him up there. And
which, by the way, is the way I like to pitch. If I'm involved with the show, especially with the writing, I like going in by myself. Mm-hmm. I just did it the other day with HBO. I talked to the head of comedy and made my suggestion for what show we should do next. And I was by myself. Very comfortable.
In person?
In person? No.
No, Zoom.
Even though we get tested every day, I can't, even with the head of HBO, you'd think I could do that one. Nope. All right.
And which is upsetting because it's always better. It's always better in person. Pitching, something like pitching is always better in person. Okay, so Julia agrees to one more shot. Larry's going to do everything. Julia doesn't have to do anything.
And by the way, when he's sitting in there and he's imagining the psychic.
That's not yet.
Oh, my mistake.
That's not yet. And then we see you and...
Oh, no. We've agreed to do CBS. We haven't pitched to CBS. My mistake. Okay.
Correct. And then you and Larry are walking and you're talking about they needed reassurance and you gave them reassurance. And then we see a guy with a sandwich board sign.
Don't stare. Come on.
Oh, my God.
I just read about that in the paper. It's called Scarlet Letter Punishment.
Scarlet Letter punishment.
And by the way, I don't know who that guy is. He might have been just a background guy because he doesn't talk. But boy, did he look sad and disappointed.
He looked sad and despondent.
No, like I'm saying, it wasn't just like a where
a bad extra.
Well, it must have been somebody that we looked at as an actor to play that because I can't see a background doing that.
And it wasn't
subtly.
a crew person. That's the kind of thing sometimes we'd have a crew person.
And by the way, in all the years of our show, whenever we use a crew,
they've done great.
They've done great.
Yeah.
There's no exceptions. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Well, because they understand what the show is.
They
I
do,
think.
but they're still.
So he's wearing a sandwich board sign.
Oh, you know what it is? They're not nervous in front of Larry.
Right. Okay. So he's wearing a sandwich board sign that says, I am a shoplifter.
Yes.
And apparently this is a Scarlet Letter punishment that's going around.
Well,
is that a real thing?
By the way, I don't think so, but I'm sure it's happened. But what a great, and by the way, I know for sure that Scarlet Letter line that I say was a Scarlet Letter thing, I know that was written. Because I wouldn't improvise Scarlet Letter.
So it's a Scarlet Letter
That was
punishment.
one of the rare times in the show where it's written exactly what I should say.
Well, that's the kind of thing that's in the outlines, you know. And you don't necessarily have to say that either, but it fit. It was a good thing to say.
It was perfect, yeah.
And so we established that there is this thing that we don't know if that's a real thing or not, right? Mm-hmm. In real life. Mm-hmm. And then there's a guy who passes, says hello to Larry. And Larry didn't want to have a stop and chat. And that was the guy who runs the
restaurant.
He's the maitre d' at the restaurant, the hotel that you're staying at. I found it a little odd that he didn't also say.
I'm not staying at the hotel.
Yes, you are. You're staying at the W because we split up.
No, that's not.
Yes, you are.
I swear. Oh, wait, maybe
Jeff,
I am.
you are because later on it's established in the end.
I was thinking that you were talking about Larry. No, I am.
So
and by
found
the way,
it
I switched
odd.
hotels from the first season.
Yes, but I found it odd that he didn't say hello to you too because you're in that restaurant all the time.
Well,
but he
that
didn't.
was not thinking when we were.
He said, "Hey, Larry," and Larry didn't want to do a stop and chat.
Hey, Larry.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
You know that guy?
But the awkwardness of that was so beautiful. That was played by Steve Sheridan, who I was in Second City with, as I always say, a wonderful person, sweet man. But the look of confusion and disappointment on his face, he couldn't have played it better.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with the sign guy.
It was subtle.
But what was also good about the sign guy and Steve was, if you watch the show, that this is not just going to be forgotten, the Scarlet Letter thing and him
the
digressing.
Stop and chat.
Yeah,
of course, because everything comes back to bite him in the ass.
Back, yes.
Always. And you tell him it's rude and you have a whole issue. He's got all these rules. You have all these rules.
Yep.
And it's true. He has all these rules and you never know if you're crossing the line with him or not.
What if I told you, no kidding around, that up until this point, I thought that was the best improvising I've done on the show. When I went into him with his rules and the whole thing, it felt like a flow more than anything I'd done up until that point. Yes.
It does surprise me.
And just that little moment, I'm watching it going, oh, you were so, like that whole moment from seeing the guy with the board to the stop and chat, Larry making his rules, and then my reaction to all of it, I was really, and by the way, it's something that small that I can look at myself and went, yeah, that is really great work. Look at you. Not me getting a big laugh. Not me, the focus is on me. Fuck that. This is me being supporting. I'm a supporting actor and really serving the scene. Not very often. That's the first time that I felt that.
I I don't know if that's true, but okay.
Well, I don't know if it's true. I'm
But
saying I felt
I know
that.
it's true that you felt it. I don't know if it's true. It's the first time. Okay, we cut to he's at home, and Cheryl and Wanda are stuffing envelopes, probably for NRDC or
But
something.
by the way, what's beautiful about that is that no one stuffs envelopes anymore. It's all email.
I know.
Which, by the way, is one of the great things about the internet and computers is the...
No more stuffing.
No more stuffing. Although, who doesn't love a good handwritten letter?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's quite lovely to get one.
Yeah.
And we established
And by the way, Ideal Jeff sends them all the time. Real Jeff doesn't even write emails.
No, it doesn't even respond to texts.
I don't. I'm horrible.
So who are you telling?
I know.
And then we established that Cheryl is going to Kim, her psychic. And the psychic is incredible. Last time Cheryl went, Kim told Cheryl that Larry was going to get a hole in the one.
No. Larry points that out.
Of course.
Last time, she was dead on.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah.
She told Cheryl that I was going to get a hole in one in golf, and I got a hole in one.
Wow, now that's amazing. That's almost magical.
She also told Cheryl I was going to have a bad time in Hawaii, which I did, but
That wasn't so.
Right, yeah, only you could have a bad time in Hawaii.
Yeah, anybody could have predicted that.
Yeah.
That not only hole in one, but what I think is the great line of
Bad time in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Which
of course
was a
it is.
given.
But what was great also was Wanda Sykes, her reaction, she is great with subtle sarcasm. Subtle sarcasm that Larry doesn't even notice, And she, that's really, it was the way she did it was like, and Cheryl with the, Larry with the, it was just so, Larry being an idiot but look what
And
happens.
who has a bad time in Hawaii?
Larry.
And then also her friend Carrie was going to get pregnant and shit. So we're establishing that this psychic is really good. Really, really good. I have a hard time believing that Larry actually believes in a psychic, but so be it. It works for the episode.
Well, no. Hold on. Look at the things he believed in.
Hole in one, bad time in Hawaii.
So, of course, he believes, but in a way that's imaginative. It's not real,
And then Wanda sets up that the good thing about Kim is she doesn't hold back. She'll tell you bad news. A lot of times you go to these psychics, they only tell you good news, what you want to hear. Kim does not. She'll tell you the bad shit, too.
You know what our show doesn't have? And I was talking about Larry. We don't have red herrings. Like you watch a cop show, they introduce something that makes you think something's going to happen, and it doesn't. It's a red herring, which I don't even know the exact definition, but that in
The
film,
derivation.
But it's something where they send you down a path that you think you're going, and you're not going there. We
don't have that
for the purpose of fooling an audience.
We have the opposite of that.
Yeah, I know we do, but nothing drops between the cracks. If something happens early in the episode,
There'll be a payoff.
There'll be a payoff.
Yeah.
Yep.
We cut to, you're at the golf course, you and Larry. What the fuck was that hat you were wearing, Jeff?
That's a Kangol hat.
I know, but you were wearing it backwards.
Well, that's how they're supposed to be worn. Most people
really?
wear, some golfers
It struck me
wear
as
it forward.
quite funny.
By the way, but what's so funny about that is I actually wore a Kangol hat, a white one. I don't think I still have like that backwards in my life in day to day.
Really?
I didn't realize how goofy
Would you
I
wear
looked.
that now?
No. I'd be an imbecile to wear it now. I'd be so, not self-aware.
And the Larry's pet peeve, as we know in real life, they're playing slow in front of him. They're lining up their putts. He's getting all tense and upset about it and out of proportion to the reality. And you suggest he goes to see your masseuse.
Here's what I want. We're missing that is fascinating to me. Just the other day, I forgot this episode that we did this in Fake World, and I probably asked him back then. I said, when you play golf, which he plays every Saturday, do you have a lot of problems with the people ahead of you? He goes, not very often, but if I do, I call them marshal. And I thought that term, calling them marshal.
What does that mean?
There's a marshal on a golf course to make sure everything goes smooth. And I asked Larry if he carries a gun. Never mind. But the point is,
He does
He
not.
hates that. But you know what he hates worse is when the people behind him catch up, he can't hit a golf ball.
Oh, because he gets nervous.
Yeah, because he goes, I don't need an And in this episode, he goes, I don't need an audience. And then I didn't even realize that is the exact truth of Larry on the golf course.
And later on, we have, a few references in the whole episode with Norm.
Right.
About the slowness.
Oh, yeah, when that comes out with Paul Mazursky.
Yeah. Okay, but you suggest he goes to your masseuse, and it's going to be your treat, and he says, I can't hit in front of an audience. He's all tense and blah, blah, blah. Cut to, he's at the masseuse.
But hold on, let me take a step back.
Go ahead.
When I'm saying to Larry, I got a masseuse, my treat, that whatever happens with the masseuse, it is trouble for him.
But I don't think it was telegraphed that it was what it's going to be.
Even when I was watching, I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
I just watching, because I haven't seen these shows in 25 years.
Well, not 25,
but
22
years. So, but I recognized, I go, oh shit, whatever I tell him about the massage, it's going to reflect on him for the rest of the episode.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does.
Yeah.
And cut to, we're at the masseuse, and she's massaging. Oh, that's a bad spot. The shoulders have body memory, and the body has a memory. And then he says to her, she says, "Did you have trauma as a child?"
Okay,
and he
so
says,
wait 1 second before you do that. That is, as a person, I finally found a great masseuse here in L.A., which has saved me. My neck is out. Who doesn't matter why. Anyhow, the point being is, there are those, forget happy ending, there are those masseuses that you see that really want to clean out your mind.
Yes.
Clean out your soul, as opposed to, let me kill these muscles. And by the way, there is something good to lightening your load, but it's not for a masseuse to do that.
Lightening your load.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't mean that. But a masseuse should really focus on your muscles, not if you had trauma as a child.
They're not your shrink.
No, but I've been to numerous ones that think they are.
So have I, and I don't like it.
I don't like it one bit.
I don't like when they talk too much either.
Oh, by the way, I used to talk too much, and then I don't say a word now.
It's better. Just relax
I used
and
to
breathe.
investigate because I want to know what their life was about.
Yeah.
That led them to being a masseuse.
It's an odd thing to be a masseuse because you're very in this very intimate thing with strangers,
by the way,
especially if you're like, let's say, this masseuse clearly has her clients, but like you're a masseuse in a hotel, for example. Okay, so Larry says, she asked if he had any childhood trauma, and he says,
my mother did throw me against a brick wall when I was an infant. Maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah. I didn't get hurt at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
And have you ever talked to her about this, maybe?
Yeah, I've mentioned it to her a couple of times.
She's okay with that?
Yeah, she said I was a little prick.
But the point being here with this, he plays it so straight that it almost seems real. He didn't because sometimes you just got to put a gentle spin, never a big spin, but a gentle spin where just the tone of your voice, slight, but this was very real.
Very real.
And absurd beyond belief.
and first of all, he was an infant. How would he remember it? You don't
But
remember
not only
it.
that, but the idea of thrown into a brick wall, which is about with child abuse,
That's
I'm thinking,
pretty bad.
That's pretty fucking bad.
And the masseuse says the whole body does better when there are no blockages.
Yeah.
And would you like me to finish you off?
Yes.
Now, I have to say, I believe that he didn't know what that meant.
By the way, if someone said that to me, unless I'd been hoping or I'd been told, I would not think at all that she'd be touching my wiener.
And I didn't know until this episode that there was such a thing as a happy ending.
Oh, this is where you learned it?
Yes, I didn't know.
Oh, I hate that term, happy ending, because I don't know how happy she could be. Jacking you off for money. Hold on. She's jacking you off for money.
It's a happy ending for him, not her.
I know, but I don't like that.
But that's what it's called.
I know, but I don't like it.
Regardless.
Okay, I don't like it.
So she's giving him a hand job while she's chewing gum, I believe, which struck me.
Well, she's disconnected.
Exactly. She's
completely.
just all nonchalant. This is her job. This is what she does. She gives people hand jobs.
Pods. Stop.
Stop, stop, stop,
Stop?
stop.
And he's like, stop.
No,
Stop.
Pots. He can't get himself to say stop.
Oh, is he saying pots?
He says pots twice, and then he gets his bearings and goes, stop.
Stop.
But he says pots.
And his
Pots.
face is just priceless.
Yes.
And she stops.
Yeah.
And we cut to you are in a meeting in your office with Mike Binder.
Mike Binder, yes.
And Larry says to you, are you nuts? He comes to confront you about giving him
Right.
with this masseuse. What's wrong with you? Finish you off this whole thing. And Mike Binder mentions...
Before he mentions that, because it's really funny, I'm looking at this scene. Now, yes, I always have self-loathing when I see how fat I was. But I'm wearing a pair of glasses in this scene that look like someone would wear in an eye doctor's office if they're doing it. It's just they're clear frames.
Yeah.
They're absurd.
Why are you wearing them?
I don't know. Dort would show me a bunch of glasses.
Dort was our prop master.
And I picked those. I don't know if I was trying to be funny or I was stupid. Probably a combination. All right, keep going. So
he's saying to you, and Mike Binder mentions that his character, what was the name of his show? I forgot the name of his show.
Inside the Mind of the Married Man.
That's right. Inside
the Mind of the Married Man.
The Mind of the Married Man, right. And Mike Binder says that his character in his show does that. He goes to the masseuse who wants to give him a happy ending. And Larry's like, well, I never saw it. And he's like, you don't watch my show? That becomes a whole thing.
Wait. You're skipping, which is really funny.
I stopped it.
You stopped it. Who stops a whack-off? What are you
I stopped
thinking?
it after 12 pumps.
No wonder you're still
No way.
That's
You either do
unbelievable.
0 pumps or like 1,000 pumps,
But
which
12,
you
I've
never
never
do.
heard of 12
I don't
pumps.
know how I did it.
How did you do that? What
Guinness.
did you summon?
I
That's
don't know.
Guinness.
I don't know how I did it.
Wow. If I stopped at 12 pumps, I would tell my wife. I'd go home that night and say, honey, I was getting a massage and I took 12 pumps and I stopped because I love you.
I will never, ever tell her.
I would.
And you know what? If your wife ever finds out, you're a noble man. You made it stop.
What? She's not going to find out. Don't worry about it.
It was 12 pumps. And Mike Binder says that he'd tell his wife. He would tell his wife. And Larry is...
no, absolutely not.
And
Never
that's when
did.
Larry realizes that Cheryl is going to the psychic.
Yeah, well, he says it out loud, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would the psychic know about the happy ending? And you mentioned, by the way, there's a meeting at CBS later that afternoon.
Right.
And then Larry leaves, and you say to Mike Binder, hey, she's great. Do you want her number? Mike Binder says, absolutely.
Oh, by the way, what's rare about that is generally when Larry leaves a scene, and
It's
you
over.
and I do this all the time, we have some funny dialogue. It's always cut. And that's not Larry being...
No, it's story purpose.
Yeah, it's like, is this driving the story? But me saying to him, do you want to? He says, sure. It shows that not everybody on the show is neurotic. You know, we're all both good with it. Yeah, I'll get whacked off. Okay.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a minute, Jeff.
What?
You're saying that it's neurotic not to want a happy ending? Not necessarily.
No, it's not wrong to not want one. But think of the journey he takes to A, not getting it, and B, dealing with Cheryl. It's a big neuroses. Like, for example, let's say I stopped a woman, hypothetically. I'm saying hypothetically because I don't know that I could. And she's done 12 pumps. I've said pots. I've said stop. Do you think I'm ever going to mention that to my significant other? Or that I'd be worried about a psychic?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is getting a hand job from a masseuse cheating on your significant other?
I don't think so.
You don't.
No,
I do.
I'll tell you why.
See, this is male-female
No,
here.
No. There's no emotional connection.
Yeah.
You're totally, it's a physical release. And once you're done, you're done. It's not, it's like a,
all right, here's
it's a
why I don't agree
transaction.
with you.
Okay.
Because it
But
is,
by the
it
way,
is sex.
if you're having an emotional affair, which is worse than having a physical affair.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
It's still sex. It's still the thing that I do with my husband that we only do together. That's the
Right.
thing that we do together.
Yeah.
Our sexual
You
relationship.
pretend you're a masseuse?
No, but maybe. but you know, it's him having a sexual relationship with somebody else and having whatever's going through his head that's about the sex with somebody else. To me, that's cheating.
Okay, that's you. To me, if I had an emotional affair with anyone, Or I had, let's say there's a pretty comedian and I have sex with her, which, by the way, has never happened. I just want to make that clear. I wasn't doing that hypothetical from my memory.
Yeah, but Jeff,
point being is, then it's an affair. That's just me. But by the way,
not an affair, a cheat. A cheat. It's still cheating.
Even if the
cheetah.
The cheetah's a cheetah. I remember we're sitting at Catch a Rising Star, and I said, "How can Billy Joel cheat on Christy Brinkley?" And you looked at me and said,
"A cheetah is a cheetah is a cheetah."
Yes, but I'm saying even if you played a masseuse game with this other woman, it's cheating.
But you said to me, you just said earlier that you would never tell your significant other.
No.
But why, if it's not cheating? Why would you not tell her?
Because you want to know why? A, Jewish women who don't appreciate that. Not that other women don't appreciate it, but there's a certain, by the way, it's so appropriate that you play my TV wife because there are qualities of you that are in my ex-wife and my girlfriend right now. There are things you share in common. And I would be a dead man to say, even 12 pumps I stopped. Dead. But that's their viewpoint.
I don't want anybody touching my husband's penis but me and him.
Okay.
I don't consider, we've actually had this episode. I don't consider him touching himself cheating, by the way.
Yes. Well, by the way, what if he's thinking about a masseuse or another woman?
You
what
want to know
about
what?
a woman you hate?
I don't want to know what his
as anger.
I don't want to know what his fantasies are.
Right.
I have no interest in knowing what his sexual fantasies.
Do you remember the episode that's coming up where I
jerked off
to Cheryl?
Yes.
In my dream.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. Well, I don't blame him for being upset. Okay. So we'll get there. Okay. So Larry goes home, and Cheryl made big plans for the night to celebrate the CBS deal. She's got a limo coming, and they're going.
Which I think is weird because her character, copying Larry's real wife, is very ecologically thoughtful. And a stretch limo.
Correct,
is,
but this.
No, I'm just saying.
I agree. I agree, but whatever.
No, I don't think. Yeah, just.
And they're going to Moho at the W Hotel, and Larry's, that might be too awkward because I didn't do a stop and chat with the maitre d' earlier, and it's horrible. It's awkward. It's horrible to have to talk to him. Why do I have to talk to these people? He has a better idea. He wants to. She's going to leave to go see Kim, the psychic, and he suddenly wants to have sex with her to distract her, and he's relentless.
No, but hold on.
Relentless.
We see his face, and his face is, I am so fucked. I am so fucked. What can I do? What can I do? And he tries the sex one.
Have you seen my keys? I have an appointment with the psychic. I'm actually running late. Oh, I got him. All right, well, I will see you later.
Honey, I got a better idea.
What?
Let's fool around.
No, right now. Listen, I have an appointment. You don't
Psychic,
understand.
forget the psychic.
No,
Come on,
Larry,
let's
I have an appointment.
Honey,
it took me a
come on,
long
forget
time to
it.
get this.
Come on.
No,
I'm gonna
not
wait.
right now.
Honey, I'm gonna
No means no. No means no. God, no. Save it for tonight. Larry, no. Listen, I have got to get going. You're gonna make me late.
I've got a lump, and I'm afraid she's gonna tell you about it. Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm dying.
It's even hilarious, even though sexual assault is a sexual assault. We know he's not assaulting her. He's doing everything.
He's trying to get her to not go to the psychic.
He wrestles her into bed, and then she's holding onto the side of the wall, and he's still pulling her. I think that's hilarious.
And then he says, I've got a lump.
Yeah,
and she's going to tell you about it. That's why I don't want you to go.
She's running away from to go. He goes to the cancer, and he says, I've got a lump, and I didn't want to tell you, and I don't want you to find out. To me, that's the hilarious point. Yes.
So he doesn't want her to go to the psychic because he doesn't want the psychic to tell her about the happy ending, the 12 pumps. And then we're in the CBS meeting, and they're, the executives are, I like it. It's an edge. And Julia's doing her dance, dancing around, and Larry is just not present at all. He's traumatized. All he could think about is Cheryl is at the psychic.
Okay. Also, the flashback.
Then he has the fantasy.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because you could see, but the idea that...
let's just describe it.
Okay.
The flashback is that he in his mind, it's not a flashback, it's a fantasy sequence that Cheryl is with Kim, who in his fantasy is an Asian woman, and I mean, and she is telling her about, Kim is telling Cheryl.
That actress is named Amy Hill, if I do believe. We were lucky to get her because she's so great.
And she's that Kim is telling her, is it a happy ending more than just a massage? Pumped 32 times.
32 times. By the way, no better number than 32 times. Then she looks right in camera and goes, and then whoosh.
That's right.
And Larry wakes up out of it. He's got to find his place. And then he's over enthusiastic.
And then he's ridiculous in that meeting.
I know, but yes, he is.
Ridiculous.
And by the way, that goes to show, if I may take a step back, two things, but I'm forgetting one of the things. But here's the one I remember. Oh, no, here's one of the things. I personally, especially on Zoom, have fallen asleep during pitches if I'm not talking. I fall asleep. The executive, the writer, whoever's talking, I will nod off because I'm almost always tired. I can take a nap
But this
anytime.
was not that.
No.
This was distraction.
I know, but I'm saying I have felt something like that, and then you have to wake up and recover if they're going to you for anything. And also, and by the way, that's Nora Dunn, and you're from SNL, and she's from Chicago. I know her, and the fact she says, we'd love to be in business with you on a pitch that bad. Yeah. Well, it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus
and Larry David. Yeah.
So basically, those two know before they walk in a room, this is a done deal.
Well, that's what Cheryl said. It's a done deal. That's why she ordered the limo to celebrate.
By the way, and I've been involved in situations where only one of the people is somebody you'd want to work with. No guarantees. They say no a lot to some of the biggest writers and actors I know. That being said, if you've got a great writer and a great actor, one way or another, star, it's not who's going to say yes. It's how soon will somebody say yes.
Until Larry fucks it up.
Yeah.
So Larry then goes home, and Cheryl says, how does it go? And she's sitting on the couch. Clearly, her arms are folded, her body language. She's clearly upset. And she says, I know everything, Larry. I know what happened.
Now, when she says this, because I don't remember exactly what had happened, I didn't remember. I thought that she might go the other way. You've been blankety blank, having nothing to do with sex. Like she knows he's been up to something no good. That may be true, but it's not sex. And he's she says something horrible, and he's relieved.
Relieved.
And I saw it in my mind as she would say that, and Larry would do the opposite of what you think. He would be very excited that that's all it is.
Right.
That was just
but that's not what happened. All right. Cheryl says, I know you're having an affair. A woman with long red hair and a tattoo of a star.
Which is amazing and great.
And Cheryl's like, why would she make up a story like that? And Larry's like, no. Maybe she's an anti-Semite. There are Korean anti-Semites. And then Cheryl says she's not Korean. She's American. Larry denies.
No affair. Sorry. No, it's not happening. Who's going to have an affair with me? I'm not a cool guy. You got to be a cool guy to do that.
It's true.
I couldn't do that. I wouldn't know how. What would I do?
I don't know. You would not be good at it.
It took me 6 months to even put a move on you.
I know.
And Cheryl says, if you were, you'd lie about it. And he was like, yes. But Larry says, you got to be a cool guy to have an affair. I'm not a cool guy.
Right.
So she finally accepts
By
him
the way,
and believes him.
I completely concur with him. As someone who's not a cool guy, I can't pull an affair off. I couldn't.
Jimmy, my husband happens to be a horrible liar. I would know so quickly if he was having an affair. Okay, so now they're going to go to the W Hotel, and they're in the limo, and they're getting out of the limo, and Larry's concerned about, well, what's the driver going to do now? What are you going to do now? And concerned for the driver.
And the driver, no, I'll be fine. And that was Tom Booker from the Annoyance Theater in Chicago. I did have quite the influence with casting. I always have, but then especially. And Booker was so perfect for that role because he could say without, because it's a fine line
Very
on our
subtle.
show, without splattering it in Larry's face, he could say, no, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
To where if you have a heart, you feel bad. But if you don't have a heart, you're not going to notice.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, the real Larry David has such a big heart. He's so big-hearted.
I always care about the drivers, and I always make sure they get fed and stuff like that.
Oh, my God, yes.
Okay, so they're standing, there's a line, and Rick, the maitre d', who Larry did not stop and chat with, approaches them and seats them, and Larry feels that it's chilly in here.
Right.
He feels there's a snub from Rick.
And by the way, Cheryl in this scene, and in the scene that's coming up, which is connected to this scene, who else could, there's a way that she plays it that's so unique and so special.
Yeah, I agree.
I was watching her in this.
She was.
And by the way, with the whole limo driver thing, it's something I can associate with because I have this all the time in my life. No good deed goes
unpunished.
I am so trusting, and I think about the other person so much that someone might say to a fault, like how can you be thoughtful and kind to a fault? But it bites me in the ass. I'd say 90% of the time.
That's what this whole show is about.
I know that. I'm just saying.
So Larry then starts complaining about having to do this. There's a stop and chat. Why do you have to talk to people? Whatever. And they're eating, and he's overly concerned about the driver.
Yeah.
He's uncomfortable. He feels like he has to hurry so the limo driver's not waiting. He's probably hungry. Cheryl talks about it's her favorite restaurant, and they ordered the same thing. And then should we buy Greg the limo driver dinner?
The fact that he says he's unhappy that they both ordered the same thing, that whole discussion, hilarious.
Yes. And should we order something for Greg, the limo driver? Should we give him a doggy bag? And then Larry decides that he's not going to eat all his shrimp. And then he's on Cheryl about it. You going to finish that last shrimp? Because he wants an extra shrimp for Greg. Because he cares more about Greg than Cheryl at this point.
Moment, yeah.
He's ruining the romantic dinner.
Yeah.
And he goes out. That whole shrimp thing was he really crossed the line with that.
Right.
And then he goes out and he gives Greg the doggy bag.
He beats Cheryl down.
He beats her down.
And she gives that last shrimp that she wanted to eat.
And she's so unhappy, and she has had it with him at this point.
Who plays that better?
No, nobody.
I know.
And here's why she plays it so well. Because on a certain level, you say, well, why is she even with him?
Right.
Yet the way Cheryl plays it, you understand why she's with him.
Without a doubt.
Even though
you feel that that's a real relationship.
People ask me all the time, why do you and Jeff stay together?
Well, by the way, the answer is for purpose of comedy on the show. Because in real life, you or I would jump out of that marriage.
Yes,
I know I would.
But there are plenty of marriages like that, Jeff. People stop me on the street all the time, and they say, oh, you're exactly like me. Or men say, oh, my wife is exactly like you. Or my marriage is exactly like you and Jeff.
That happens to me all the time. I can't imagine how many times it happens to you. But don't you just look at them and go, what the fuck? What's wrong with you?
Get out.
Get out. Because in real life, I know for a fact I would have been out the first year, you know? So.
But people stay. So now Larry goes out to give Greg the doggy bag.
Yeah, some shrimp in there.
Yeah. Just like leftovers?
Well, there's shrimp and there's some rice in there, but I didn't touch any of the shrimp. I divided the rice very carefully. It's all clean. It's all good.
How much was he throwing? There's no fork. There's no napkin. I can't eat this.
I'm sorry. I forgot the fork. I'll go get you a fork.
All right.
And a napkin.
That'd be great.
And you could see Greg's a little nonplussed that it's leftovers. And Larry's like, I didn't touch it. I divided
by the way, he's frustrated almost to the point. He's frustrated almost to the point of being rude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
But Larry's not noticing.
And then Greg says, there's no fork, there's no napkin. How am I supposed to eat this? And Larry's like, I'll go get them. I should have gotten the guy a dinner. But he goes in to get the fork and the napkin.
Yeah.
And Cheryl's sitting there waiting to eat her dessert, very
and
politely.
By the way, who gives a thought to him taking a fork and a napkin?
Well, story.
No. I'm saying, I'm not talking about Cheryl, him, whatever. It's clearly revenge by the maitre d'.
Yeah.
So it's not like, but who would ever give a thought that this might lead to me being in court?
Right. Well, there you go.
By the way, in all sincerity, I have found that is the way life works a lot of times. Something very little, you think, oh, this is not you cheating the world, but you doing something that you think is no big deal, and you're fucked. Again, what did I say? Go.
Larry takes a fork and a napkin from an empty table, puts it in his pocket, and he's about to walk out to give Greg, the limo driver, the fork and napkin. And Rick, the maitre d', stops him and asks what's in his pocket.
Oh, hey, Larry. How's it going?
Oh, hey. The food was sensational.
Excellent.
Yeah, really spectacular.
Wonderful.
Thank
Do you mind telling me what you got in your pocket?
you. A pen.
I was thinking of the other pocket.
Oh, I got a napkin and a fork. There's a driver outside.
Pardon me for suggesting this, but it seems like you were walking out with our silverware.
And you're walking out with our silverware. I call that stealing, makes a big cause celeb about it. And Larry says, I know what's going on about here. You're upset with me about the stop and chat. And Rick goes and calls the police.
Hold on, a couple things. First off, what we discover in this scene is he has been watching Larry like a hawk. So he knows that silverware and that napkin is in his pocket.
Right.
And he thinks, no matter what the excuse is, I've got him.
Right.
And then also, how about him calmly saying, could you wait right there? And then he walks over to the thing. Oh, what are you doing? I'm calling the police. But it's done so calmly on his side.
And then the cop comes and he gives him a summons and he tells him he's going to go before Judge Katz.
Yeah.
To deal with the summons. I should have let the guy eat with his hands, Larry says. And they go out to the driver, and Larry never brought the fork out because he got stopped by Rick. And as they're getting in the car,
Wait, hold on. I love the way Tom Booker plays this. Even with the fork thing. Not quite an asshole, because you understand his frustration, but kind of an asshole. Then, when Larry comes, you can see his frustration with Larry, yet when they say, no, I'll get something on the way home, it's okay. But he's not doing that.
But he's being passive-aggressive.
But he's not throwing guilt his way, I don't feel. Okay.
I felt that he was.
Well, you're wrong. You've said that to me numerous times. I'm getting back at you.
Okay.
I'm like the maitre d'. I'm getting back at you.
Okay.
Right.
I'm taking you're getting back at me.
Okay.
And then we see as they're getting in the car.
No guilt, by the way. Fact. You're
I'm wrong. Okay. Then as we see as they're getting in the car, because you're staying at that hotel, which was established in the first scene.
Right.
Walking out with the masseuse who had been there to give you a massage, and I guarantee you a happy ending as well.
Oh, without a doubt.
And she has long red hair, and Cheryl notices.
Right.
And Cheryl very slowly walks up to her and says, do you have a tattoo of a star?
But by the way she approaches it, which is, how do I not sound like a nutbag, but I'm pretty sure what's going on. And this is going to sound so strange.
Oh, it's all in her face.
But by the way, Larry wouldn't even say this is weird. He would just go up and go, do you have a tattoo on your arm or whatever?
Yeah.
Cheryl just massages it. I don't know. I really think she's great. Go ahead.
And she's, yes, I do have a tattoo of a star. And then the masseuse sees Larry and says, oh, hi, Larry. And that's,
he's done with his wife.
Done with Cheryl.
Although, by the way, that storyline is done there.
It's done, I know, which I found a little disconcerting because it's never resolved, but that was fine. And then we're at court. And with Judge Katz and Larry.
By the way, Judge Katz, you look at him and you go, Jew.
Yeah.
He's not like...
And Judge Katz and Larry starts by saying, and may I say Shabbat Shalom.
Oh my God! And there's about to be
He's
a few more.
He's wearing a weird white jacket. Also,
it's of that era.
I guess
that large jacket. It's very much like the jacket, the Seinfeld jacket he wore in the other episode,
one.
except in white. What an absurd choice!
I know white. That's what it was. The white jacket.
White jacket.
To court.
But I wanted to say I love the Jewish stuff. I mean, I think some of the things that Larry does that really hit me hard is any Jewish stuff to help him get by.
So Larry starts to explain about the fork and that the maitre d' had a personal animus because he didn't stop and chat. And the judge, who was terrific, by the way.
But hold on, though. As Larry, when he first starts, it makes sense. What the first 3 sentences he says. If you only would have stopped, if you only, Shabbat Shalom's fine. If he only would have stopped after 3-4 sentences, it would be fine. When he went into the whole other stop and chat part of the whole thing, you knew watching him, you're a dead man. You're a dead man.
What happened is simply that I was trying to bring a fork to a working man who was a driver, a limousine driver. And he had dinner, but he did not have a fork to eat the dinner, so all I was doing was attempting to bring him a fork and a napkin so he wouldn't have to eat with his hands and get it all over his face and his clothing. And it was only out of some personal animus that the restaurateur had toward me because I ran into him on the street and I didn't stop and have a little chat with him. I don't like to make little chit-chat on the street. I like to have a real conversation with people.
And the judge goes into a whole big thing about celebrity, and you think you have no consequences, and you think you're above it all. And Larry said, I could work it off. I could work at the temple. And the judge says, isn't it a joy to work at the temple?
Hold on. I want to say this. He'd already said to Larry at this point, I can't fine you because it means nothing to you because you're rich. Yeah, because
you're rich, right.
Which, by the way, is a thing that's rarely mentioned on the show. Someone saying he's rich, because I know he's not comfortable with that.
Right.
I'm sure he enjoys being rich, but he doesn't like acknowledging it. But he says that, and he goes, what do you think we could do to have you, what punishment do you think is fair?
That's when he says, I could work at the temple. And the judge says, isn't it a joy to work at the temple?
Yes. And he says, I can hand out yarmulkes and taluses. And by the way, yarmulke is the little skull cap thing that Jews wear either in temple or on the street, depending on your level of Jewishness. And a talus, which I don't think I've ever seen a Jew wearing on the street, even an Orthodox Jew.
Of course
really, an Orthodox Jew with a talus?
Yeah, you see them hanging out of the coat.
Underneath. Yes, my mistake. But a talus is like the scarf that Jews wear. Okay.
Yeah, and then he gives him his. We don't know what the sentence is, but we cut to seeing Larry standing outside wearing a big sandwich board.
Hold on. Again, I'm digressing because I'm just remembering. At the end of his spiel, he says, I was giving it to a driver, a working man.
A working man, yes.
That killed me. Okay,
a working man. And we see Larry wearing the sandwich board saying, I steal forks from restaurants. And we cut to, we see that he's at
the restaurant, but from the W.
But it's a network symposium.
Oh yeah, at the place.
It's a network symposium.
And one by one, all the people.
First, Alan Wasserman gets out of
Judy Tull.
Then Judy Tull.
Who, by the way, I miss terribly. One of the great talents in comedy.
Yes, and gone much too young.
Way too young.
And Larry says to him, enjoying the shrimp? Did you enjoy the shrimp?
Yeah.
And then Lane Michaels from ABC gets out.
And he's having an affair.
That was a water bottle in my pants.
That's not his wife.
Well, his wife was Rita, yeah.
Yeah, but we probably couldn't get her for that day. But
could have been his associate.
Could have been an associate, but I got a vibe of something's going on.
Okay. And Larry starts screaming, that was a water bottle in my pants. Yeah. So we're revisiting everything that happened in the season.
But then he actually yells at him something insulting after he's made his case and they're ignoring. Oh, why don't you, I forgot what the cut down was. Why don't you tell people that you're the lame Lane Michelson or whatever
something.
Yeah.
And then the CBS people come out and then it's a long story. I was helping a working man again with the working man. And then we just see him pacing back and forth. And that's it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a great episode.
Yeah. But because it's the finale, he has just killed the CBS deal. That's what that represents.
Of course.
And she mumbles, and I hear it in the mix. She mumbles like something, I'll never work with that guy, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And by the way, that's a perfect moment for bump, 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 the thing.
And it was the first, it was season 2, but season 1 didn't wrap up in quite the same way. So it was beginning of the wrap up.
No, but it was the beginning of
arcs.
Right then, that episode, because the next season's an arc. So that episode sort of set a tone for the way the show is evolving.
Although this season had somewhat of an arc with the Julia stuff.
No, but by the way, yes. But I'm saying that all leads to... we've had one episode that I remember, which is my favorite all-time episode, Wandering Bear, where it's a self-contained episode.
That was season 4, I believe.
But we've not done it before or since we started doing the storylines where there's
No, that's not true, Jeff.
Which episode?
A Palestinian Chicken was a standalone.
What season was that?
That was season 8.
What was going on in the big picture?
The season 8 was the New York and all of that. There were several in you'll see as we move along. In several seasons there's one standalone.
You know better than I do, and I'm not saying that sarcastically.
I'm not wrong?
No, by the way, you're almost always right. Oh, I got to tell this story before we go. So it's a fact, and I'm not exaggerating when I say Larry and I have made at least 30 bets with each other, okay? And he's made some with Jeff Schaefer, because Jeff Schaefer was there going, I'm not touching that, meaning I've never won a bet with Larry. No. I have never won. Well, I'm not going to say what we were talking about, but he said something that I damn well knew was wrong. But having lost every bet to him, Jeff and I laughed, and because he said to Jeff, I'll bet you $1,000. Jeff, I want none of it. And then he said to me, and I go, no, I'm not betting you, but I know I'm right. And I'll be bygone, I was right. I was so right.
You could have been a rich man today.
Well, by the way, he wrote me going, it's too bad. Yes, you are right. It's too bad you didn't make the bet. So I'm back to like 0-30 with him. That one doesn't count. That's an almost. That's like being a golfer and losing by a stroke.
There you go.
Hey, by the way, you know, when I tell these things, you give me a look.
What is my response? What do you want me to say? Well, that's fascinating.
But your feigning interest is just so insulting. You have a look on your face of like, all right, I'll put up with this. We have to end the show.
We're
all right,
a married
we've got the
couple.
show. We love each other. Just know that. All right.
Season 3 starts next time.
Yeah, season 3, next episode. Yeah, Daddy.
Mwah.
Thank you.